Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Talkin Schmoedown. I am your host, Josh the Merc, Raynor, owner of Merc, the movie blog, and I'm here with episode number 56. It's a good episode. Not as many matches as we have had to cover in the last few. We only had the basic four for the tournament, which is kind of nice. You know, a little bit of an easier week, but nonetheless, had some damn good matches here. How you guys been doing this week? I've had a pretty damn good week, catching up on some movies. Just caught The Old Guard on Netflix. I gotta say, it was damn good. I really fucking liked it. Charlize Theron is a badass, so I highly recommend checking out The Old Guard over there. I guess let's get into it. You know what I mean? All right. So this past week, I checked out backstage as I always do, and Jeff Sneider was a guest, and I gotta say, man, this fucking dude, Christian went online and said it, but I agree. He is one of the best, if not the best, backstage guest that they've ever had. It was fucking amazing watching him be on there. It was so funny. I loved every second of it. Everything about it was great. But there was one thing about backstage that I kind of wanted to address, and that's this whole Roca saying that he doesn't consider what Ben Bateman did during in the Bateman Guy match as a perfect game. Now, like, I understand people's sides of this whole thing, and how he says, if the Schmoedown is a sport, you got to compare it like a sport. The, I take issue with that. Okay, because, like, I'm pretty sure Ben Goddard brought this up in baseball, in football, whatever, and in all these other sports. You can't, if you're ahead by a certain number of points, you don't just end the fucking game. You keep going to the end. So Ben physically had no ability to go to the end because of Guy's performance. Okay, now if, let's say, they decided that from now on, no matter what the score is, they'll go all the way to round three, to the 5 point question in round three, no matter what, then that's a different story, because you're playing the full game no matter what. But because of knockouts and TKOs, it takes away the ability to do that. And I think saying that it doesn't count kind of strips away what he did in that game, because he's the only player to ever go 100%. 100% PPE. It's just the way it is. He's the one who did it, and I think that should be celebrated 100%. And I 100% think that I consider it a perfect game. Granted, I am a person who will say, "Oh, okay, they answered all of their questions, even if they went to multiple choice, and it's still a perfect game because they answered all of their questions." They had 100% accuracy rate in that match, because every question that they were given, so every ball that was thrown, they hit it. They knocked it out of the park, kind of a thing, whatever. But so to diminish that, I think is troublesome. Because I feel like if Roca went and did that, if he threw a perfect game like that and knocked somebody out, and then people are like, "Nah, that doesn't count," I really don't think he would take kindly to that. So that's just my opinion. But I personally feel that Ben Bateman did get a perfect game. Now, he didn't have to answer his last three questions in round three, but that's not his fault. You know what I mean? And I don't think he should be penalized for that in any way. All right, and so also this past week, I think it was on Friday's SEN Live, Christian made a big announcement that some new shows were coming to the network, and several of them are Schmoedown related. He has, he talked about some shows, like he's bringing back One on One. He's they're doing a Dan Murrell one, which I'm super excited about. I think it's called like What's My, or I can't remember the name of it, but it's essentially where he like takes like a Blu-ray or DVD off of his shelf and he talks about it. And I'm like, that sounds fucking awesome. And I love Dan Murrow. So those I'm excited about. But the ones that some new shows coming up for Schmoedown specifically related, we've got the Inner Geekdom Show, which will be hosted by Winston Marshall. And this will take a one question from the realm of inner geekdom, and it will dive into that in some way. Not so like let's say it's. I mean, you can take any of the questions, and it'll just dive into it. I mean, Christian explains it a whole lot better, but it sounds really cool. Just taking a real deep dive into that topic within the world of inner geekdom, and I dig that a whole heck of a lot. And I think Winston's a great choice for that. We've got coming up next. That's right. So if you guys have been watching on Twitch, the Jen Sturger and Brad Gilmore preview specials that they have been doing recently for all the throwdowns, their chemistry is fire. And I dubbed their show way back Boats and Schmoes because they were looking for a name, and they both like commented on it when I did it, and they thought it was really cool. And so I've always called it that to myself. I know that's not what it's been called, and I'll be totally honest with you. I will probably still call this Boats and Schmoes as well. But coming up next, that's cool. I'm glad that they're getting their own show on the actual network as opposed to just on Twitch. Really bringing Jen Sturger back into the fold a bit closer to home. I like that. Because a lot of people who follow Schmoedown don't necessarily go over to the Twitch channel, and so having it on the YouTube channel, I think, will be nice. And then, of course, we've got Schmoedown Backstage. That big announcement happened that John Roca was leaving, and they are replacing him with none other than the Crusher, Rachel Cushing. And I think that this is a fantastic choice. I'm just thrilled that she will be officially back in the Schmoedown, doing her thing there, and I am so pumped to see her back. I've missed Rachel, and just finally getting a chance to have her back in the Schmoedown in some capacity. Like after the Shire Wolves retired, she did some of those like sitting at the table doing commentary kind of stuff, and I loved that. But her being on Backstage, I think, will be great, and I think it will actually help to keep Ben Bateman in line. So I'm excited to see. I'm really, really excited to see the energy that she brings to Backstage. All right, and the last thing from last week that I want to mention is that they actually, I think it was actually earlier today or yesterday. It wasn't technically from last week, but I'm going to talk about it. Was they officially announced the teams for the teams tournament that is coming up. All right, so we have got for the Den, we've got Tom and Paul. For Swag, Final Exam. For the Rock Stars, the Odd Couple. For the Dungeon, Wit and Zipper. I'm going to skip a few real quick. We get down to the Usual Suspects with Erwin and Guy. Finstock Exchange with the Founding Fathers. Now these six right here, you got the Den, Swag, Rockstars, the Dungeon, Usual Suspects, and Finstock Exchange. It was pretty much a almost guarantee of what teams that they were going to be choosing, and I wasn't shocked. I was almost shocked by the Founding Fathers pick because there was some question as to whether or not they would actually be in it. But the three that I want to really talk about here are, let's start with the Burning Droogs. We've got Jader Paramo and Brandon Hanna. Now, I mean, everybody here, we all know Brandon Hanna. I really, this guy, he's something else. And teaming him up with Jader, I'm curious on how this dynamic will work. Jader hasn't really kind of come off as a heel in that way. You know what I mean? And so I'm wondering if they'll kind of clash
when it comes to that. But I mean, I'm interested to see how they work together. I think it's a real interesting pairing. And we've got Corruption. Okay, so for Corruption, I mean, obviously their main team of Mike and Chance, they are the title holders right now. So, I mean, there's not a lot you can do there, but I think that picking a team like Marisol McKee and Adam Collins, these two rookies who have really kind of made a name for themselves in their debut matches, I think it's interesting. I really think it's gonna be magic. You know, these two working together. I really like it, and I'm excited to see what kind of stuff they bring to it. And then finally, we got the quirky Mercs. This is the one that I'm most intrigued by, and that's Haley Fouch and Perry Nemiroff. Haley and Perry, if you don't know, are co-hosts of Collider's The Witching Hour podcast. It's a horror podcast, and they have great chemistry. I love the show, and I love it, and I'm so excited to see them do their thing together. On a team, see how they work as a team like that. So yeah, once again, here are the teams. We've got the Den with Tom and Paul, Swag with Final Exam, Rock Stars with The Odd Couple, the Dungeon with Adam Witt and Eric Zipper, the Quirky Mercs with Haley Fouch and Perry Nemiroff, Corruption with Marisol McKee and Adam Collins, Burning Droogs with Jader Paramo and Brandon Hanna, Usual Suspects with Ethan Irwin and Guy, and the Finstock Exchange with the Founding Fathers. All right. So, hey, I'm excited. Let me know, who do you think will be the team to look out for? I mean, I feel like a lot of you are probably going to say the Founding Fathers, but are you excited for any of these other new teams? So head down onto Twitter here, right down there at MovieBlogMerc, and let me know, who do you think one of these other teams is going to kind of shine throughout this tournament? I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts. All right. So we are going to get into some matches. Yeah, that's right. So we're going to start off with our first match of the evening, and that is Lightning Liz Shannon Miller representing Swag versus the Den's Rachel the Switchblade Silvestrini. That's right. I'm a huge Rachel Silvestrini fan. I'm always, I always have her back. And so when this match came about, I was like, it's Rachel all the way. Rachel is who I've got. Unfortunately, things didn't pan out that way. She had a bit of a rough match here, and it happens, unfortunately. But before we actually get into the match, Ellis was not there today, so this match was actually the commentators were Christian and Danny Ramirez from Call to Action. So I thought that was kind of cool, seeing Call to Action kind of being brought up a little bit into the sphere here and getting a little bit of attention that way. Danny, she was really good. I really liked what she did on the desk. So we got into round number 1. It was a pretty standard round, really. Nothing crazy. Couple of misses. Danny did great, like I said, on the desk. 7-6 in favor of Liz. Like I said, nothing stood out about this round. Nothing crazy. And sometimes that's what you need. You need a non-controversial first round. But like I said, Liz in the lead, and that doesn't always mean anything. It doesn't always mean that, you're going to win. We've seen that a lot, especially last week. We saw that a lot happen where, people coming from a huge deficit, tie in the second round and win in the end, or almost win in the end, so it definitely happens. All right. So we get into round 2. Liz defers, and Rachel spins Nora Ephron. And she doesn't care. She's not feeling it. Respins after saying that she thinks she would do well in it, so she was, it seemed like she was contemplating it, but I don't know if it was like a second guess or she just really thought she could land on something even better. But she lands on 2010s and does not do good here. She gets 3 out of 8 points. A really, really rough round here. She gave up 3 points in steals. And I gotta say, as a huge Switchblade fan, this was hard to watch. It really hurt to see her kind of do so poorly here. And I really think she should have stuck with Nora Ephron. She seemed like she was confident in it. And so I'm sad that she didn't wind up sticking with it. All right, so then it winds up being Liz's turn, and she spins, and she winds up landing on Spinner's Choice. I mean, you know, Rachel had this real bad first round or second round, and then her opponent gets Spinner's Choice. It's just like sticking the knife in and then just twisting it. You know what I mean? So she winds up picking SNL movies, which I thought was an interesting choice. But then when you think about it, I'm pretty sure this was the first time the category had ever been done. You know what I mean? Like no one had ever chosen this category. So it's like all kind of fresh, pretty surface level kind of stuff. I mean, I got all of them right. I would have gotten 8 points in this category, you know, and with the questions that she had. But like I said, I felt like they were pretty surface level. So it was a smart move, you know, especially if you've watched these movies, you know, even a couple of times, really. And I haven't watched most of these movies in years, but it's just, you know, stuff that I've watched multiple times in the past and remembered. And she destroyed it, man. She got 7 out of 8, only had to go to multiple choice once. And she did a damn good job. It was good strategy picking this category. So we get into round 3. And Rachel hits her 2, but then she misses her 3. However, as they are announcing Liz as the winner, because at this point, Rachel needed more points. Like if she missing her 3 results in a TKO. As they're announcing Liz as the winner, Kate and Rachel challenge the question. And I took a little video clip, and I'm going to play here. So take a look at this challenge.
5, 4, 3,
Sterling K. Brown and Blake Lively.
1. And your winner, by way of technical knockout, Liz Shannon Miller. The 2 leads of the movie were Blake Lively and Jude Law. Were the 2 main leads of the movie. I see you have a question on your.
I don't know.
You can bring in Kate.
Yeah, I want to talk to Kate.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the real question is, how do we distinguish a lead? That's
the question.
What's the industry standard? Is the first 2 people? Is it open credit billing? Like who is it? What is it? Is it the first 2 people listed in the credits?
Because Sterling K. Brown was a very prominent character, like one of the main leads in the movie.
And also, Sterling K. Brown doesn't take supporting anymore. You know what I'm saying? So how do we?
So Robert, it's an official challenge.
Yes, this is a challenge.
Yes, official challenge. Yeah,
right,
we would like to know how lead is determined.
Great. I'm gonna get on the call here with PJ, and we will be back in just a moment.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, and we are back after some deliberation. So even though the question itself talks specifically about the woman who trains with a professional, and those are the 2 particular characters, it wasn't specific enough to ask Rachel Silvestrini, who played those particular characters. So we thought the challenge inside of that, of being confused of who was in the movie and not specific enough on which characters and which leads, we're going to award the challenge to Rachel Silvestrini and give her a new question.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
So
why a new question if...
Well, but that. I mean, yes, a new question makes sense in the fact that it's
a new question because it's not because the question itself, what the intent of the question was specifying the teacher and the woman that Blake Lively plays. So that is the question was asking for, but because it was not specific enough and it confused you, we're giving you another question.
So then I also retain my JTE that I used on that.
You do, because the question itself is getting thrown out, so you will not be charged. You have one more JTE left.
Great, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Good challenge there, as we are going to move both Winston, and the game is not over, Danny.
Okay, so as you just saw, Rachel was awarded a new question. So before I get into what happened after that, I wanna address the whole challenge thing. I do believe that the challenge was a worthy challenge. You know what I mean? Obviously, it was upheld for a reason. I fully agree with Kate and Rachel pulling that challenge out, because it was like, I haven't seen the movie, okay, but I knew Blake Lively was in it, and so I was able to at least get her. But like she says, Sterling K. Brown is apparently a really big part of this movie. I'm like, okay, well, if that is the case, I can see a case for this challenge. As it's going on, I'm saying this to myself. And so the fact that it was upheld, I was like, okay, I was really happy about that. And then I did see some people online kind of complaining about the outcome of that and her getting a new question instead of being like awarded the points. But I have to say, I mean, a lot of times I disagree with the way challenges go down and whatnot. And you've heard me kind of do that, kind of shout about it quite a few times. But I'm not going to do that here, because I actually do fully agree with how this challenge was handled on both sides. The question was specifically asking for two specific people, and it was just worded confusingly. And there is precedent in several past matches where if the wording of the question isn't clear enough and it confuses a contestant, that they will throw the question out and then a new one will be given. So I actually fully agree with the way this whole thing went down, and I bravo to Christian and everybody who in the background who handled it as well as they did. I thought they did a damn good job. So like I said, Rachel, she got a new question. Unfortunately, she was not able to answer that question. And you could tell it was right on the tip of her tongue, which kind of hurts even more. It's a huge hit for Rachel. So Liz wins, as they had started to announce before. After the first question after that first 3-pointer was missed, Liz wins TKO 17-11. Big win for Swag here, bringing in 4 points for the faction. It's huge. However, this puts Rachel at 0-4 in singles. It's not good. And it makes me wonder what her plans will be going forward. Now, we've seen people leave the game with records like this, completely just go. And I love watching her play, and I really, really don't want her to leave. Maybe she needs I don't know what it is, but she needs to break this losing streak somehow. Unfortunately, she is now done completely for the season, because as I already said, the Den will be putting Tom and Paul into the team's tournament and not the Pride. The Pride will not be in the team's tournament, which is a little disappointing there. So Rachel is done for the season. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see if she returns to the Schmoedown in season 8. But I really hope she does. I really hope that she's able to up her game, because I know if you look at who the types of play, she's played some fucking elite players. If you go back through and you look who she has played, fuck, man. Like there's no, it's nothing to hang your head about. You know what I mean? And so I hope that she's able to really kind of spruce up her knowledge and maybe get, not necessarily, get a softball kind of match, but just something to break her streak, to get her out of this funk. I really want to see her do well and go on a run. I really do. So I hope that we get to see that. So Liz will go on now to play Chance in round 2 of the tournament, and Kate is she's putting a lot of backing into the Pride, but again, I'm shocked that she didn't put them in the tournament. Maybe she's thinking, giving Tom and Paul a chance because I'm not 100. I can't honestly remember if they played. This whole year has been kind of a blur, to be totally honest with you, and so I don't remember if they played at all earlier before COVID and all this other shit went down. But it was a little bit of a shock. I thought it was going to be the Pride, but it wound up being Tom and Paul, and so we'll see how they do, and I hope that Paul steps up out of his funk. I know after Karen passed away, it was tough, and I know. I mean, there's no way that it didn't affect him. I mean, that was the love of his life. You know what I mean? I mean, my father recently passed away. And, I'm going to be an open book and be completely frank with you guys. My wife left me as well. That happened within 3 months of one another. And so, yeah, I mean, I understand losing the things that you love in life, and it affects you. It really, really affects you. And so I know that this has affected him. You can tell. And I love Paul. He's like, I talked to him on a personal level. I mean, fuck me. He found out that me and him went to the same college. I think we were there like 4 years apart or something like that, because he's a little bit older than I am. And we just he messaged me one day, after he saw that, and we just started chatting and stuff. And he was there for me when my dad passed away. He's one of the few that actually reached out. And so I've always rooted for him. And I'm really hoping that they do that, him and Tom. And I love Tom. Tom's great. And so I'm really hoping that they do really well here. It's definitely needed for the Den. Den has slipped down quite a bit, unfortunately. They're right about the middle of the faction standings right now. So hopefully they'll be able to get back up on top, or at least near the top. We'll see. All right. So our next matchup is Jeff the Sneider versus Robert the Party Crasher Montano. We got the Rockstars versus the usual suspects here. Yeah, let's get this going. I'm excited for it. Robert has not had the best of luck in the Schmoedown. 1-4 in teams. 2 not so great free-for-all runs. I was really hoping that this would be the match that would turn things around for him. But unfortunately, that's not really the case. Going into this match, Jeff was a little over a 500 player, 9-7. So when Roxy was like, why isn't he considered for Mount Rushmore? I'm like, that's one reason. Now, I'm not saying it's the only reason, because a lot of the players, like look at a John Roca. He's like a 600 to 700 player kind of a level, somewhere in that range. But I think that the real reason that I wouldn't put Jeff on the Mount on my personal Mount Rushmore, he's so inconsistent. You never really know what he's going to do. You never really know if he's going to be able to pull out a win. Sometimes he gets in his own head and he just fucks himself, or he gives up, and he likes to say that that's not what happened, but that's what happened. And so that's a big reason right there. If he could stop doing shit like that, then we'll have a different conversation. All right. So we get into round number 1. Sam questioned that Christian started off the count at 4 during one of these questions. And I had to rewind it to make sure, I was like, he's like, this whole thing happens because Robert tries to answer, or tries to ask for a repeat, but he was too late, kind of a thing. And so Sam was, they talk about a delay, but then apparently he's like, nope, we're not doing stuff with delays. However, this happens again, if I'm not mistaken, later on in the week. We see the opposite of this, but we'll get there, I think. Like I said, Sam questioned that Christian started the count at 4. Christian's like, I mean, I've never started a count at 4 before, and so I don't think that that's what happened, but you never know. And so I re-listened to it. Like I said, I rewound it. I had to rewatch it a couple of times, and he definitely started at 5. The problem is it was so fucking low. Like he was like 5, 4. Like he started off almost at like a fucking whisper. I don't know why. I don't know why he was like essentially like mumbling and talking under his breath for it. And so like if you may not hear it until 3 or whatever, and like you're in the midst of things, and it's like, oh wait, what? Where's the 3? Where the fucking count come from? And yeah. So it makes me wonder if Robert even heard the count start. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. It's not Christian's fault. He did count. I just think I doubt that he was even conscious of the fact that he was talking as low as he was. Shit happens, unfortunately. So I noticed that in this match, they asked the opposite question of one that they asked in the Liz Rachel match. The Liz Rachel match, they asked a question about who played Roland in the Dark Tower. And, obviously the answer is Idris Elba. And this one, they ask the Matthew McConaughey part of it, whose name, for the life of me, I can't fucking remember. I'm just like, whatever. But I just thought that was kind of interesting that they asked, like, back-to-back matches. They asked, like, the opposite side of the same type of, essentially the same question, I guess you could say. Which I just thought was interesting. I was not expecting that, especially, like, back-to-back matches. So I thought that was fascinating and wanted to just mention it. Okay, and so I've said this lots of times. Pen and paper. Stop it. It's not a good choice. Jeff had pen and paper, and it was extremely difficult to read his answers. Extremely difficult. And that's problematic because if there's a spelling error or something, how are you supposed to really see it? You're not going to catch that because of how light it is. You're not going to be like, hey, hold it up there. Let me see every single fucking time. You're just not. So I feel like if you're using paper, you should be using a marker, like a thick marker, so that you can see a thick black marker so you can see it. Or just fucking go to Walmart or the dollar store or fucking wherever and just buy a cheap little fucking whiteboard with a dry erase fucking marker and there. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you're going to be playing this fucking game virtually, get a fucking whiteboard and stop being a bitch. Like, I'm so sick of pads of paper, notebooks, fucking index cards. First off, it's a big fucking waste of paper. Huge waste of paper. People are like, they wrote down an answer, rip. There it goes. Thanks for killing a tree, guys. Like, get a fucking whiteboard. You use it in the actual game, like in the studio. Get one for here. I feel like Christian should mandate that they all have fucking whiteboards. I'll fucking send. I'll fucking take $200 and go buy a shit ton of fucking whiteboards. I'll fucking mail them to you guys. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Get a whiteboard. This is the hill that I'm dying on right now. Get a fucking whiteboard. All right. So Jeff got pretty close to a perfect round here. Robert almost got that last question with El Dorado, but the answer was the road to El Dorado. Real close there. But I mean, even with that, I mean, that whole thing, it kind of epitomizes Robert's whole first round here. Not good at all. 7-4 in favor of Jeff. However, like we've seen multiple times, we had last week, we saw multiple people go for exactly a 7-4, or I think it was a 7-4 and a 9-6 or an 8-5 kind of a score. It was like a 3-point deficit, and then tie up in the second round. So it's not like, it's not the end of the world when you're there. And I still had hope. All right. I was like, come on, Robert. Come on, Robert. Then we get into round number 2. Jeff defers and Robert spins thrillers. Not horror thrillers, just thrillers, because they split those up, and I'm so happy they did. He respins, and it lands on that dreaded opponent's choice, and is then given thrillers. I mean, it makes sense. You know what I mean? He didn't want it, but he didn't do too bad. He did okay. He got 5 out of 8 points here. He did give up 1 point in a steal. And, being so far behind, being 3 points behind in round 1, it's not a great place to be. You don't want to miss this many and give a steal. You know what I mean? So it's just not a great place to be, because then you have to kind of bank on your opponent doing poorly in round 2. So Jeff goes up, he spins Eddie Murphy, and he keeps it, even though he said he didn't really feel super confident about it, but he kept it anyways. Mark was pretty happy about it, because every time someone lands on it, they always spin away from it. So he was pretty happy about that. Again, he did just as well as Robert here. The only difference in this round is that Robert didn't get a steal. 5 out of 8 points for Jeff. No steals here. And that the fact that he did not get the 1 steal opportunity means that it widened up the gap to 4. Where it was a 3-point gap at the end of round 1. Now it's a 4-point gap, 13-9 in favor of the Sneider. So we get into round number 3. Robert totally blanks on Woody Harrelson for his 2-point question. And he was struggling so hard to pull it. I had it right away, but, I'm just sitting here on my couch, And when I did my premiere, my 1 episode so far of watching Schmoedown, where I did a watch along of the Guy Bateman and Jericho Kevin Smith throwdown, where I did a full watch along of that. That happened to me a lot. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh man, come on, trying to pull answers out and just couldn't do it, So unfortunately it does happen. But he tried, couldn't get it. And then he could not get his 3, which means that if he missed his 5, it would be a TKO. But luckily for him, he fucking nails that 5-point question. Even I think Jeff was shocked. He didn't think that he thought this was going to be the end. He even wrote, I believe, on his pad of paper TKO, because he really thought Robert was going to miss that question, but he didn't. So luckily he prevented the TKO. Unluckily though, Jeff nails his 2-point and wins the match 14-13, getting 3 points for the Rock Stars. Roxy sits there. She calls Robert mean and a jerk. When I'll be honest with you, she and Jeff are probably 2 of the biggest jerks in the Schmoedown right now. Like get off your horse, Roxy. I'm not the biggest fan of the way she heals it up, I guess you could say. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. She is so grating when it comes to the way she acts toward the other players. And I personally am just not. I don't like it. And that's all there is to say about it. All right. So we are halfway through this thing. And so right now, we're going to take a quick break. And you can listen to some ads for some of the other shows right here on Merc with a Movie Blog. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Hey everybody, I'm Sean. You guys might know me on this feed from co-hosting Beyond the Screen, but now here at Merc with the Movie Blog, we have started a brand new show exclusively for video games called Game Over Screen. So join me every week with my co-hosts.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Brendan.
And I'm Tyler.
As we talk about everything video game related, and when we, I guess, get to the Game Over Screen. I don't know, I don't have a good pun for that, but the joke is that we're going to die a lot in the game.
Well, you might.
Hey, Jay Wade here to tell you about SEN After Live, our SEN Live After Show, where we talk about Well, whatever Christian, Brett, and the rest of the crew talk about and the insanity that ensues. So join us each week here on the Merc with the Movie blog feed on your podcasting platforms, as well as YouTube now on the SEN After Live channel. Talk to you then.
Hey everybody, Sean and Wade here to tell you about our new review show following each episode of Disney Plus's The Mandalorian.
Dude, yes, Boba Fett!
Not exactly, Wade. Set in the Star Wars universe, The Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi and follows a Mandalorian bounty hunter beyond the reaches of the New Republic.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Did you even watch Return of the Jedi? Never mind. Join us here every week on the Merc with the Movie blog feed. Thank God Kaylin will be here too. I don't think I can handle Wade on my own.
Hi everyone, this is Sarah, host of Go Get That Rose podcast, a podcast that is dedicated to talking about all things Bachelor Nation. Join Jay Wade, a man in his 40s who is recently new to all things Bachelor Nation, and myself, someone who has been watching passionately for the past 3 years, as we review, share our thoughts on each episode of whatever show is currently on TV, whether that is Bachelor, Bachelorette, or Bachelor in Paradise. We might not even know everyone's names, but we have fun nonetheless. You can find us on Merc with a Movie blog feed wherever you listen to podcasts.
I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Hey guys, it's Sean. I wanted to tell you guys about the new show I'm hosting, the Harry Potter Review Show. Every other week, I'm joined by some combination of Kaylin, Sarah, and one guest that has never read the books. We discuss one movie per episode and break down what we love about them, what we don't love about them, and the differences from the books to the movies. It's a ton of fun, and I hope you guys will tune in to check it out. Until then, mischief managed.
All right, so be sure to check out all those shows right over on Merc with a movie blog. It's anchor.fm/movie blog Merc, just like whoop right there at movie blog Merc and on the Anchor feed there. Some great stuff. We got some stuff coming. I mean, SEN Afterlive is now actually doing video, so it has its own YouTube feed as well. So be sure to check that out. Subscribe over there. They're trying to get up to 100, so be sure to subscribe to the SEN Afterlive YouTube feed as well. Jay Wade, who hosts that, he's been doing live shows. So every Wednesday and Friday, he's doing them. Like 15 minutes after SEN Live ends, he hops on, starts the live show. Goes for about 30, 45 minutes or so. So definitely be checking that out. And I know that Jay Wade and Sarah are going to be doing Go Get That Rose live as well. So check that out. And we've got a few other shows coming to the feed eventually soon. We've got some stuff in the works. And I'm pretty excited about what we got coming down the pike. So be sure to check all that stuff out right here on Merc with the Movie Blog. All right. So we are going on to the third match of the week, and that is Finstock Exchange with the Barbarian versus the Burning Droogs, Witney the Beauty Seibold. That's right. Okay, so I have always talked about this. Witney is one of those guys who it seems to always have an issue learning the game. And so when going into this match, I was like, I guess we'll have to see. You know, we saw Alonzo Duralde, we saw Jim Vejvoda, and we saw Matt Atchity. Those three plus Witney are the four I've always talked about, who are the four who just don't seem to understand the game. Those other three I mentioned seem to have been learning the game recently, as you've seen in their most recent matches. Now, again, you know, going into this match, I was like, we'll see. But I gotta say, I think he's really catching on to it. I think that they're starting to really take it a bit more seriously. I'm sure some of them just still don't study and they're just doing that. But for me, it's more about them knowing how to play the game, because it was always so frustrating when they do things like the countdown clock ends and there's like, oh yeah, can I get a repeat? Can I get a repeat? It's like, no, you can't fucking get a repeat. Or when they go through round two and don't use fucking multiple choice and miss like fucking 2 or 3 of them. I was like, guys, multiple choice, come on. And it's like, it was a constant thing. So it's nice to see some of these guys really kind of stepping it up and learning the game. And the Barbarian, man, he's a great fucking rookie in this league. And I got to say, man, I am super looking forward to seeing his career just flourish. I love his personality. He does some fun entrances. He always does. Not many people do entrances during this digital age. So it's nice to see some people still actually doing it. And he's one of the few. And Witney had some pretty solid low-key jabs in there about Elvis, about the Barbarian's little pet there that he's always got. I think he called him Elvis Costello, something like that. I don't know. He had some good low-key kind of jabs where it almost seemed like he was giving. I think he called him a pelt. And all this other stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny. He's kind of working that little heel angle there. I dug it. So we get into round number 1. Good, solid round from both of these players. They only missed 1 question each. 7-7 coming out. This is the kind of round you want to see. You know what I mean? I mean, outside of perfect rounds, those are always good. But it always sucks when one player is just shit in the bed here. You know what I mean? And so it's real nice. They're answering their questions. There's not a lot of controversy. They're just doing their thing. And this is exactly what I like to see in a round 1. So then we get into round number 2. Barbarian spins Scorsese. Doesn't like it. Decides to respin and lands on Oscars and does really good. Hell of a good round here by Barbarian. 7 out of 8 points. He gets all he answers all of his questions. Only has to go to multiple choice 1 time. So that's man. This guy, he's going places. I'm telling you. And so Witney goes up, spins Leonardo DiCaprio. Nah, does not feel that. Though I feel like he could have done well in it. I really do. He respins and lands in spy films. And you can tell right as soon as he hits it, he was not feeling it. I think he was regretting spinning away from Leo. He probably should have stuck with it. He thought he could do better, so I get it, but it's kind of like what happened with Rachel, where she landed on Nora Ephron and then spun away, even though she stated that she, could, probably do pretty good in it, and then landed on a category that she just kind of flunked at, unfortunately. And the 2010s is a tough one. It's so broad, and it's not the 2010s. I mean, it's recent. It's the last 10 years, but there's a lot of movies, you know what I mean? And I feel like they're going to pull from stuff that may not be as well known as they would be in some of the other decades. I don't know. I just don't know. I try personally, I would try to stay away from decades. And if you're confident in that first spin, if you're pretty confident in it, I'd say go for it. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's too big of a risk when you're already down. But anyways, we're not talking about that match anymore. We're talking about this match. And he only winds up picking up 4 out of the 8 points, gives away a 1-point steal. He's lucky because he missed that last question without going multiple choice, but Barbarian wasn't able to answer it either. So he's lucky because it could have been a 3-point steal. This could have been a huge gap here. Another 3 points or another 2-point swing. I mean, it would have put that was 6-point deficit. Luckily for him, it's only a 4-point deficit going in. 15-11 in favor of the Barbarian. So we get into round number 3. Okay. Witney gets his 2, misses his 3. Luckily for him, because if he had missed his 5, this would have been a TKO. He did not. He did hit his 5. So luckily for him and for his team, that it prevents another team from getting that extra point from the TKO. However, Barbarian easily able to hit his 2 and his 3 and wins the match 20-18. 3 points for the Finstock Exchange here. I gotta say, Witney did seem to have a better grasp. However, I do think he, I don't know if he jumped the gun on that last round 2 question or what it was. He probably should have gone to multiple choice. You know, unfortunately it happens. It happens to the best of them. And it makes me wonder if all the having factions and being in factions, having managers and all this other stuff, if it's helped these guys to really learn the game, because they've got people to lean on. They got people who can kind of show them what they're lacking in that kind of aspect. And I really think it's a beneficial thing that this whole faction thing has happened. I think it's been real beneficial for a lot of players. All right. So next up is our final match of the week. And that is Mark Yodi Reilly of the Finstock Exchange versus the Dungeon's VideoDrew. That's right. Video frickin' Drew. It seemed like we were getting a toned down version in this match. He kind of talks about that a little bit. And I thought about this. I was like, well, are we going to get a toned down version? Or is this just a trick? And I mean, I think she was a little bit toned down. She was still doing her weirdness, which I love. She had some creepy fucking dolls and a green screen dress, which I thought was hilarious. But yeah, you know, still doing the creepy kind of shit and you know, doing her thing. I like it. She's getting to round 1. All of a sudden, Christian is giving people leeway. I talked about this before. Reilly asks for a repeat after the count. You know, they claim it's the delay. Maybe it is. However, there's been 2 or 3 other instances already where they're like, nope, sorry, you're not getting it. Nope. Is what it is. Sorry. No JTE for you. But then his buddy, Mark Reilly, gets the leeway. It's a bad look, man. It's a bad look. And maybe, you know, maybe behind the scenes, you guys decided, okay, from this point forward, we've had a couple of issues. From this point forward, we'll give a little bit of leeway when it comes to these delays. And it just happened to have, you know, the first time that it popped up happened to be Mark Reilly. And that's possible. I'm not saying that there's some sort of weird favoritism going on. It didn't look good. And it kind of angered me because, I mean, a big deal was made about it in other matches. And I just didn't like how it all kind of shook out. You know what I mean? So this was not a stellar round for either competitor. 5-5. Both Mark Reilly and VideoDrew missing 3 questions each. Oof. Oh, that's not where you want to be, man. Not for that is not a good way to go. I mean, being tied, I guess, is fine because it just kind of evens out the playing field there. But 5 points is not a good look. Is really what it's all about. You know, it's not, especially if you're gonna whoever the winner winds up being. You know, going forward, it's like you got to make sure you're getting more than that. So we get into round number 2. Reilly spins SNL movies, and he's like spins away from it. And later on, he says something, like, too many deep cuts. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's only ever been spun like one fucking time. We just saw it. So it's like, you probably, maybe you just haven't watched these movies or haven't watched them in a very, very long time. But I feel like you probably would have had a decent round here, maybe, because, I don't know, surface level type shit. Instead, he lands on Denzel Washington, and he does okay. He gets 5 out of 8 points. Another 5 here. Gives away a 1-point steal, though, to VideoDrew. And so then VideoDrew gets in and spins Mel Brooks, keeps it, and she does 5 out of 8 points here, too. It's like, I don't know what's going on with these guys. 5 points here, 5 points there. But one difference is she did not give up. She gave up a potential steal, but unfortunately for Mark Reilly, he was not able to capitalize on that steal, and it gave VideoDrew the lead here, 11-10. Rough game so far for both these players, But VideoDrew taking the lead here, so we'll see how it goes. Round number 3 hits, and Reilly, he's up first, gets his 2-point question. VideoDrew misses hers, but it gets onto her 3. Unfortunately, not able to get that one either. So it comes down to the 5, and this is rough. It's already a poor game, 10-11. You know what I mean? That's not 2 rounds, 10-11 or 11-10. Nah, that's not good. But then to miss both your 2 and your 3, and then she misses her 5. Oh man, that is rough. That is so rough, man. And because Reilly was behind, this is not a TKO because he was behind and had to answer a question. But yeah, she was unable to answer any of her questions. Shit, man, this was a hard match to watch. Reilly wins. He picks up the win, which is good. I'm happy for Reilly. 12-11. It was the final score. 12-11 in a 3-round match. 3 points to the exchange, but man, ooh. Christian says he makes this comment that I was not happy about. He says VideoDrew played really, really well, but Mark Reilly needs to do better. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? They tied in round 1. They essentially tied in round 2. The only difference was VideoDrew got 1 point of steals. But then Mark got his 2, and VideoDrew missed all 3 of her round 3 questions. So why are you saying that VideoDrew played really, really well and Mark Reilly needs to do better? What it sounds like is you are either underestimating VideoDrew and saying, oh, we expected her to do shitty, but she did good. And then we expected Reilly to do fucking amazing. He did shit. That's fucking bullshit. And I hate that. They both need to do better. I'm sorry, but VideoDrew did not play really, really well. She did not. 5 points in round 1, 5 points in round 2, and missing all of her round 3 questions. That is not VideoDrew playing really, really well. I'm sorry, but it's not. But on the flip side, on the same side, Reilly did not play very well. Not at all. Because he did the same fucking thing, and he missed a steal. Now, maybe he would have done great in round 3. Maybe he would have gotten all of his questions. I don't know. Doesn't matter, because those first 2 rounds were poor for both players. Neither of them did well. They both need to do better. And the fact that Christian was kind of putting that weight on Mark Reilly like that, I think is bullshit. Don't do that, guys. That's messed up. So hashtag VideoDrew is overrated. She said that why is nobody saying that VideoDrew is overrated? Why not? So you know what? I'm gonna say it. VideoDrew is overrated. I put it in one of the Facebook groups, and somebody, like a couple of people, were like, somebody put like an angry face on it. Somebody put like a sad face on it, and I'm like, guys, did you not watch the match? Like it is a clear reference to the end of the VideoDrew match. Now, I know some people don't watch the ends of the matches. We had a person on the Merc crew. I'm not going to call this person out by name. But we had a person on the Merc crew who would watch the matches and then bounce. This person would not watch promos, would fast forward through all that stuff, start the questions. Once the match was over, they were out. Hashtag VideoDrew is overrated. I mean, she's not really, but I love VideoDrew. She's fantastic. But again, they both needed to do better here. Yeah, it is what it is, guys. It's just the way the shit goes down. All right, and that's it. That is this week in Schmoedown. So we've got a few other things to kind of wrap up here. We're going to take a quick look here at the bracket now. All right. So we have got a couple of round two. I think we have 4 round 2 matches already set. And then, 4 half matches set. So we have got Brendan Meyer versus Mark Andraco, Chance Ellison versus Liz Shannon Miller, Jader Paramo versus Tom, and Perry Nemiroff versus Mark Reilly. And then we've also, got the Barbarian, Lon Harris, Eric Zipper, and Jeff Sneider awaiting their opponents. Now, I'm pretty excited for the Mark Andraco Brendan Meyer match. I think that's going to be a killer match. Chance Ellison versus Liz Shannon Miller should be pretty damn good. Jader Paramo versus Tom. We'll see. Maybe Jader can pull out, an upset here. I'm rooting for Tom. I think Tom's got the edge here, but I guess we'll see. But then the Perry Nemiroff Mark Reilly match is what's got me interested. If Mark Reilly, if he doesn't do better, we could see another upset. We could see Perry make it to the 3rd fucking round. I think that's awesome. I think that would be fucking stellar to see Perry make it all the way up there. So I'm pretty excited for that. All right, so then we got faction standings. All these points, they got to add up to something, right? All right, so like I always do, starting off the bottom, where they've been for quite a while, the usual suspects with 9 points. The Burning Droogs at 8 with 12 points. The Dungeon at number 7 with 17 points. The Rockstars in 6th place with 18 points. The Den at 5th with 20 points. Like I said, the Den riding right there, solid in the middle. 20 points right in the middle. Holding up that number 4 spot, we got the Quirky Mercs with 22 points. Then our top 3, which have been bouncing back and forth for a while now, kind of up and down, switching. Right now, we've got number 3, Corruption, with 38 points. Swag at number 2 with 39 points, real close. And then the Finstock Exchange pulling up back into 1st place with 41 points. Now, it helps when you've got more matches than anybody. If you look right there, they've played 23 matches, and they had a couple of matches just this week, so it happens. It makes sense that, but hey, you're good, and I think it's going to be a 3-way battle for this top spot, with Swag, Corruption, and the Finstock Exchange. Who's going to actually wind up winning? I don't know, but it's going to be a fucking fight, man, and I'm excited. All right. So then we have got the schedule for next week, for technically this week. So yesterday we saw William Bibiani versus Mr. White there. James White, I totally blanked on your name, and I apologize, man. William Bibiani versus James White was yesterday. Earlier today, we saw Paul Oyama versus Marisol McKee. Tomorrow, we will get Ethan Irwin versus Vinny Mancuso. On Thursday, we'll get John Roca versus Adam Collins. And then on Friday, we are getting a new Schmoedown Throwdown. We will be seeing the Machine, Janine the Machine, versus the Warfather, followed by a big match here. Dangerous Dan Murrell versus Ben the Boss Bateman in their rematch here. Can Ben Bateman finally defeat Dan Murrell to take the titles? We'll see. We'll see if he can do it. He lost his title to Dan last time they fought. So can it switch around and go that way for him? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But the only other thing that's left here is if you're a patron, you got to make sure you check out the MCU Championship exhibition match. Sean Gerber, Jay Washington, Winston Marshall, Eric Zipper. It's good stuff, man. You got to check it out. I really hope you guys do. If you're not a patron, hop on to fucking Patreon, man. sign up for $1. You'll eventually get that match. Right now, I believe it's available for the $5 and up patrons right now, if I'm not mistaken. It might be available for the $1 patrons, for all the patrons, but $1 a month, man. $1. Come on. Even if you sign up for 1 month, you spend $1. You just go and you watch all of the backlog in that month. Just watch every MCU match, or every exhibition match. Just watch them. Like, I'm not saying that that's what you should do, but if you're so strapped for cash, but you can you can maybe square off $1 a year. Fuck, do it once a year then. You know what I mean? $1, boom. Watch everything that's there. Then a year later, do it again and watch all of the exhibition matches again. I mean, hey, it's great content, and I highly recommend checking it out. All right, folks, that does it for me. This has been episode number 56 of Talkin Schmoedown. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. You know, this has been I've loved doing this show for the last 2 years and a little over a year and a half. So getting close to 2 years. Once Spectacular hits, that'll be 2 years. But it's been a blast. And coming back after a whole lot of shit, like I talked about, my dad dying, my marriage ending, and losing my job and everything too, so it's been rough. So this has been something that's really kind of kept me sane, I guess you could say. Being part of this community, I've been trying to really reach out more, be more involved, because sometimes I shut down inside myself. I'm sure a lot of people understand that, but yeah, and doing this stuff live has really helped me to kind of open up a bit more. I was always real nervous about doing video, especially doing live, but I've really enjoyed it. So thank you. I really appreciate all the support that I've gotten. So you can reach out to me, as you can see. There it is, at Movie Blog Merc, right on the Twitters, on Anchor, on Instagram. I post there sometimes, all at Movie Blog Merc. Then Facebook and YouTube at Merc with a Movie Blog. I'm going to be doing some more stuff. I'm going to try to do like some trailer reactions and stuff like that on the YouTube channel, and stuff like that. I believe the Dune trailer drops tomorrow. So my plan will be to do a reaction to that. I don't know a whole lot about Dune, but I'm going to react to a trailer because it fucking sounds awesome. Just saying. Yeah. And also be sure to check out mercwithmovieblog.com. Haven't done a whole lot there. I've been trying to get my motivation up. Depression sucks. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who suffer from it, and it fucking sucks. It kicks your ass and it stops you from doing a lot of great things. And so I'm trying, and I will do my best to get something out. I'm working on a review to get something out within the next couple of days, hopefully. I got a screener for a movie that hasn't come out yet, so I'm actually pretty excited to check that out. It's I mean, it's probably not my cup of tea as a movie goes, but maybe I'll enjoy it. I don't know. We'll see, and hopefully I'll be able to get that review done, and you'll be able to see it as well. All right, so be sure to hit me up on all those social medias, and guess that's it, guys. So we're gonna head out, and as I end every show saying thank you for joining me, and we have been talking Schmoedown. Catch you next time.